There are 19 what the United States government calls strategic commercial ports in the entire U.S. San Diego is one of them. So we have a hybrid model in San Diego. So we're both a landlord port and an operating port. As you hear project cargo coming through the Gulf port and trucked all the way to California. And so why not the other way around now that we have the lifting capacity?
It's Project Cargo Professionals. We're back for Voices of Breakbulk Americas, and today I am with Joel Valenzuela. Hope I pronounced your name correctly.
Perfectly, yeah.
VP Operations at Port of San Diego. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very good, thank you.
Good to have you here. Thanks for coming in. I saw you've spent almost 30 years at the port, which is quite an achievement these days.
Yeah, last year was my 30th year, so 31 years now.
Congratulations. Tell us what's changed in that time and what's kept you there for so long.
A lot's changed, both in San Diego and the Port of San Diego. Obviously, San Diego is in Southern California, about 200 kilometers south of Los Angeles. So we're a niche port. We specialize in breakbulk cargo, bulk cargoes, and project cargo. And so that has been our main focus, especially in the last couple of decades. So a lot of growth has occurred there. We've got two strong anchor tenants in San Diego since the last 30 years. Dole Fresh Fruit does a containerized reefer banana service into San Diego on a weekly basis. 2 billion bananas a year come through San Diego. Yeah, 2 billion with a B. Also, Pasha Automotive Services, the largest West Coast automobile processing import facility in the U.S. West Coast. Is with us, so they do about 500,000 units of auto imports into the states. Also, a lot of greening initiatives have occurred at the port. That's our major focus these days. I would say the last 3 to 5 years, we've spent over $200 million, the port and their partners, in terms of initiatives to clean up the environment, make our operations greener. So I would say those are the two major kind of changes that have happened.
And tell us a bit about the port structure, who owns it, how it's governed, and how it works. What's the setup like in the Port of San Diego?
Yeah, so the United States is not like a unified port authority, so there's no federal umbrella that manages the port system. And even within the states, each port is very unique. In the case of San Diego Bay is about 55 kilometers in perimeter. And so it has 5 cities around it. And San Diego is the largest city of those 5 cities that surround San Diego Bay. So in terms of governing structure, the state of California created a unified port district in the early 1960s. And really the vision there is to have an umbrella organization that manages the bay in a holistic manner, not just individual cities doing different things in their harbor. So that's what led to the development of San Diego. Each city appoints a port commissioner or port commissioners. In San Diego's case, there are 3 appointments, and the 4 other cities have 1 each. So we have a 7-member board that's appointed by the city councils, and they are the policymakers of San Diego Port District. And then there's about 600 plus professional staff that puts those policies into action and manages the bay.
And what sort of industry do you serve in the Port of San Diego?
It's very one of the unique qualities of the Port of San Diego is it's not just a maritime per se port in the traditional sense. A big portion of our portfolio is real estate development. And so we have hotels, restaurants, retail areas, marinas around San Diego. And then there's the traditional, maritime uses such as cargo terminals, cruise ship terminals, shipbuilding, ship repair facilities, commercial fishing, recreational fishing. So it's very diverse. A lot of things going on in that bay. So it's exciting. I think that's why I've stayed for so long, is there's so many things to be involved with.
And when people think of West Coast ports, they might perhaps think of some bigger ports. Where do you fit into the picture, and how do you differentiate from some of the others on the West Coast?
Sure. So there are 11 California ports. Okay. And when people think of ports, they usually think Los Angeles, Long Beach are the big ones. Right. The third one is Oakland. So they're all very container-centric and focus on the trans-Pacific container trade. San Diego is the fourth largest in California after those big three. And as I said earlier, we specialize in non-containerized cargo except for the niche Dole container service that we have. So we really focus on breakbulk products, bulk products, project cargo, things that don't fit into containers. And I think that's kind of our differentiating factor with respect to ports in general. Our labor specializes in those types of things. So it's a very special skill because a container's a container. There's one way to handle them, and you would handle bags of cement very differently from steel beams or steel pipes or large equipment or machinery. So each shipment is very unique and takes very special skill. So that's our specialty.
And if people have got project cargo inquiries, are they coming to you directly, or do they need to speak to your tenants?
Both. So we're
so you do market directly, obviously, because you're at Breakbulk and stuff.
So we have a hybrid model in San Diego. So we're both a landlord port and an operating port.
Oh, interesting.
So we have major tenants such as Dole and Pasha, for example, who handle their own areas within the terminal facilities. They do, all their marketing and operations and things like that. And we have an area that the port itself manages, and we do our own marketing in terms of getting business in through San Diego.
Okay. And in terms of heavy lift shipping lines, do you have any regular services calling?
We have semi-liner services currently calling. So most of the projects that come through are on a spot basis, inducement based on projects going on within the region. And so we have G2, a service, semi-liner, and also Saga, Welco.
And what sectors are showing the most growth for Port of San Diego?
So, it's very cyclical, as you know. So currently, military cargo is big just because of things going on around the world. Steel was for the last several years, and that's kind of softening because of the market. And so right now we're also looking at a lot of battery energy storage units coming in from Asia for projects, involved in, alternative energy. For a while there, windmill parts, wind energy components was big, which is kind of softening currently in the U.S. So it's just very cyclical.
Yeah. And how do you guys feel about the BESS, the battery projects? Because I was speaking to a few people at Breakbulk, and a lot of shipping lines, for example, they don't always want to carry that.
Yeah, it's there are risks in terms of that type of commodity, but we have implemented a very stringent safety program in coordination with the U.S. Coast Guard, our local fire department, in case emergencies happen. So we've implemented some very strict guidelines for both carriers and stevedores and the people working the vessel, and also truckers and trucking companies. We do things like, these units need to be a certain distance far apart from each other, so they don't trigger, a mass, accident if that ever happens. And then, of course, a response team and a response procedure protocol if anything happens. So we're pretty, these things need to be moved. They are necessary in terms of the development of regions within the U.S. And so we believe that with proper protocols and safety procedures, they could be safely handled.
Mm. And why might Breakbulk or Project Cargo customers choose to come to San Diego as opposed to another port on the West Coast?
It's our specialty. And we treat each customer as unique and understand their needs. There's capacity. A lot of the bigger ports focus on containers, and so a lot of the non-containerized carrier feel like second fiddle when they're trying to get into port. And so in San Diego, they're very welcome. They're our primary customers. We've got good rail and freeway access, not just into the San Diego and California region, but throughout the Southwest United States.
Mm. And you mentioned you're a designated military cargo handling port. How significant is that for the port?
Pretty significant. There are 19 what the United States government calls strategic commercial ports in the entire U.S. San Diego is one of them. And so what that really means is we have this contract with the U.S. government where we need to make a certain amount of hectares available within a short period of time when they need it. And so currently there are certain acreages designated when it's needed for the military. But, for most intent and purposes, it doesn't really get used much as emergencies. It's more like the just the regular movement of military goods. So it's a really good business for the port in terms of just using our facilities for military equipment and vehicle movement in and out of the United States.
Hi, I'm Patrick, Event Director for Breakbulk Americas. Thanks for checking out the Voices of Breakbulk Americas, our exclusive podcast series celebrating the people, projects and partnerships shaping the project cargo and breakbulk industry. We look forward to welcoming you to Breakbulk Americas at the George R. Brown Convention Center in Houston, Texas on the 22nd to the 23rd of September. Don't forget, you can register online now for your ticket. Enjoy the podcast and we'll see you in Houston.
This series is sponsored by Rhenus Project Logistics, who deliver turnkey solutions across the project lifecycle. They specialise in managing complex cargo using a mix of transport modes, including sea, rail, air, and heavy haulage. With a strong global network, in-house engineering, and access to their own assets, including terminals, barges, and vessels, Rhenus helps reduce risk, improve efficiency, and maintain control throughout the supply chain. Find out more via the link in the description below. And on the project cargo side, how much of the cargo that you see is for California or the immediate area? Or are you attracting cargo that's going to travel much further inland into the US? And if that's the case, why, again, would you choose San Diego instead of going to another port?
Yeah, so I would say 60% would be in the Southern California region, and another 40 goes beyond.
Right.
We have recently improved our lift capacity. We purchased 2 all-electric mobile harbor cranes, the first ones in America, in North America, a couple of years ago, 3 years now. 200 tons of lifting capacity each, so theoretically a tandem lift could be as much as 400 metric tons. So that's the largest tonnage capacity in the West Coast. So we've moved pieces as heavy as 350 metric tons out of the Port of San Diego. And then, like I said earlier, these are our priority cargoes, so they don't have to wait in terms of getting into the port and getting service in terms of labor, getting their product in and out. And then we, facilitate movement into whatever the final destination is. So there's permits needed for the roadways and rail. We assist with that. So it's really a full service kind of approach that we take to serve these customers.
And do you see cargo that's bound for Gulf Coast projects or not?
Not yet, but I'm optimistic that we can get there because you hear project cargo coming through the Gulf port and trucked all the way to California. And so why not the other way around now that we have the lifting capacity? I think not a lot of people know yet that we have this new lifting capacity.
And since COVID, there's obviously been a huge amount of issues that have affected world trade and your business. What's had the most significant effect on the port?
I think it's just learning to deal with uncertainty. COVID was a crisis, but it also presented opportunities for the port. People's lives needed to continue to be led, so they didn't stop eating. People still needed, things to go on living. And so we really didn't see a lot of changes in terms of our regular cargo flow. And in fact, there were some diversions that came from the bigger ports because they were so congested that, we've had, containers of home goods come through the port. And food products, things like that, that move through the Port of San Diego and realize that we're there as a port to serve customers as well. And so it was also an opportunity for us.
Mm. And you hear a lot about nearshoring and increased manufacturing in Mexico. Is that actually happening? And if so, does that benefit your port?
Yeah, nearshoring is a reality. One good example is automobile manufacturing. One of our bread and butter commodities is auto imports, mostly from Asia, but we do get them also from Europe through the Panama Canal. So a lot of the auto manufacturers are setting up manufacturing facilities in Mexico. So there are certain areas where it's far enough that water commerce makes sense, but certain areas are too close to the United States that trucking makes more sense. And so there's a push and pull in terms of potential. But like I said earlier, even with nearshoring, a region can't produce everything that it needs. And so there are going to be products that needs to be moved by water into that region. And so you just need to be diversified. You need to be flexible in terms of your facilities and your specialty, and find the opportunities when you lose a customer. So, for example, the auto portfolio, we have over a dozen different manufacturers that go through San Diego. So if one manufacturer chooses to nearshore, there's like 11 others that you could accommodate and then add to that portfolio. So that's kind of our approach.
How does trade policy show up in your port? What's been the effect?
So again, I think it's learning to deal with uncertainty. So we've seen both impacts as well. So there were periods where shippers were anxious about tariff being implemented, so they tend to ship as much as possible, as quickly as possible, so we see this spike up.
So you were stacked for a while.
Right. And then, there's a period when, there's an imposed tariff and people are waiting it out. And so you got to learn to kind of ride this wave. And that's kind of what I would say we've mostly learned about that's the political environment.
And a lot of the cargo you've been talking about recently seems related to the energy transition. How important is that to the cargo strategy of the Port San Diego?
I think very important. I think, first of all, it's part of our ethos, and our value is environmental protection. And so, in general, that philosophy of finding alternative energy that has less negative impacts on the environment is something that is important to us, and so we try to service that type of industry as much as possible. So as I mentioned earlier, wind energy, wind components was a big, commodity type that we were servicing the last 5 years. That has kind of slowed down these days, so we're now seeing more of solar battery units coming through. So we're focused on that as well. So.
What about mining? Obviously, that's an important sector, and there are new projects coming up in the States. Are you seeing a lot of mining cargo, or do you see the potential to handle that?
Not yet, but we see potentials. As mines get approved and created, they're going to need equipment and machinery to set up. So that's kind of an import facility possibility for the Port of San Diego. And then, as the mines start to operate, depending on what the commodity is, because we're very mindful about the type of cargo that goes through the port and whether it poses, danger or negative impacts to the community.
Okay.
We would be willing to service.
So even if it
those
was a
type of
community in
things.
Arizona or Nevada, you would still be looking at that.
Sure.
Right. And last year, you guys won the Green Port Award at Breakbulk Europe. Tell us about that and why you picked up the award.
Yeah, that was very exciting and a big honor for us. Cleaning up the environment, being good environmental neighbors to our communities is very important to us. So we take it seriously, and it's nice to be acknowledged. We have spent over, as I said earlier, $200 million, the port and its partners, in the last few years in terms of equipment, machinery, infrastructure for greening the environment. So just to give you a few examples, we have 2 all-electric mobile harbor cranes that is the first in North America, which we purchased a couple of years ago. We have the United States' first all-electric tug that's operating now in San
Crowley,
Diego.
isn't it?
It's Crowley, yeah. Back tug. So that's been very successful in terms of operation and proving that it's commercially viable. We have shore power infrastructure now in all our terminals. We started with cruise in 2010, our cruise ship terminals, and then we did our containerized refrigerated berths, and now ro-ro cargo. So that's all being electrified, and now we're changing out all our cargo handling equipment in the terminals in conjunction with our stevedores and terminal operators into electric equipment, forklifts and such.
Sounds good. And we're recording this as part of Voices of Breakbulk Americas, as we said. You guys are obviously participating in that, participating in Europe as well. Speak a bit about Breakbulk Americas and why that's such an important event for you guys to be represented at.
Yeah, just like Breakbulk Europe, Breakbulk Americas is sort of a marquee event that we participate in every year. All the brokers, carriers, shippers are there. And so it's important to be visible to the customers and the providers of service in this industry. We've been going to it as far as I can remember, over decades. And so it continues to be important. It continues to be important in terms of keeping relationships going because at the end of the day, when you're thinking about moving cargo, you're kind of thinking, where can I get this through and who do I know at that port? And it's always helpful to have somebody ready in mind to call just even for inquiries because that's what leads to business. So we'll be there.
Absolutely. And we discussed earlier you've been in San Diego for such a long time. Tell us how it might have changed for people like me who haven't been for 10 years.
Yeah.
How is it different to how it was before?
It's, it basically, the time I've been there since 1985. So to me, it kind of changed from a big tourism beach town to really a modern metropolitan area that also still maintains quite a bit of its quality of life in terms of the beautiful environment and surroundings, but with more amenities. And I think also our economy has diversified a lot in those few decades. We used to be just known as a military beach town. It's the military, it's the tourism that kept the economy going. But now there's a strong biotech presence in San Diego. And really diversifying, strong educational institutions, UCSD, San Diego State, University of San Diego, that feeds into the science industries within the region. So it's become a more diversified, complex region, but still kind of the amenities of sort of a nice living environment. A bit expensive, as is in most metropolitan areas in the U.S., but still a beautiful place to be in.
Sounds like you're enjoying it.
Yeah, I am.
And just to close, if we catch up again in 5-10 years' time, what else might you like to have achieved for the port?
I think, the port's mission is very diverse. We're a government agency, but we're also a business in terms of running operations and making a profit. And I think just perfecting that balance is important. To be commercially viable, but also be environmental friendly. I think continuing along that path will be kind of the success metric that I would use in terms of what I want to see in the next 10 years.
Joel, really appreciate you coming in. It was
great.
Interesting chat and nice to see you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.